I fell for him while I was paid to break him, and he found out. The worst part wasn't that he found the contract. It was that he read every word and signed it. $23,000 to break the heart of a boy I barely knew. $23,000 to prove that love was a weakness. $23,000 to destroy James, the golden boy of Westfield University. He read the contract in silence, pen clenched in his hand like a verdict. Then he wrote one single line under my signature, signed his own name beneath it, and slid the paper back to me. If I still want you after this, we tell my mother the truth together. That was 3 weeks ago. I still didn't know if I was the villain of this story or the girl who accidentally became the hero of someone else's rebellion while setting her own soul on fire. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the moment I sold my future for a stack of paper and a number in my bank account. Let me tell you how I became the girl who got paid to break the boy she loved. It started 8 weeks ago. The eviction notice was the brightest thing in the hallway. Neon orange, slapped crooked across my apartment door like a public accusation. Final notice. 30 days to pay $4,200 in back rent or vacate the premises. 30 days to come up with money I absolutely did not have. I stood there with my backpack sliding off one shoulder and my hair still damp from the campus shower, staring at the words until they blurred. 30 days to keep a roof over my head. 30 days to pay tuition. 30 days to send something, anything to my mom to help with her latest medical bill. 30 days to perform a miracle. I crumpled the notice in my fist, pressed my forehead against the door, and gave myself exactly 60 seconds to panic. My heart pounded. My throat burned. My brain threw up every worst-case scenario it could find. Then I shoved it all down. Panic doesn't pay rent. Panic doesn't keep the lights on. Panic is a luxury people like me can't afford. I unlocked the door and stepped into our tiny two-bedroom. The sink dripped. The fridge hummed. The stack of unopened bills on the counter stared at me like they knew they'd won. My phone buzzed. Aubrey, you see it yet? I sank onto the couch. Me. Yeah. Aubrey, I'm so sorry. What are we gonna do? What were we going to do? I worked 3 jobs. Tutoring rich kids in calculus, shelving books in the library, and making lattes for people who tipped with pocket change and guilt. I was a junior at Westfield University on a partial scholarship that paid for exactly one thing: tuition, not housing, not books, not food. Definitely not surprise hospital bills every time my mom's health dipped again. Most months I broke even if I was lucky. This month I was drowning. Me. I'll figure something out. I always said that. I was starting to wonder if it was true. If you think the eviction notice was the worst thing that would happen to me that week, you're wrong. It was just the invitation. I was in the tutoring center, pretending not to resent the senator's son sitting across from me. He was scrolling through his phone like the quadratic formula was a personal insult. Can we just skip to what's on the exam? He asked. That is what's on the exam, I said. You fail this, you fail the class. He shrugged. My dad will talk to someone. Of course he would. My phone started buzzing face down on the table. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again and again and again. Do you need to get that? Senator's son asked, bored. Excuse me for 1 second. I stepped into the hallway. Heartbeat already picking up the wrong kind of speed. Hello? Is this Sarah? The voice was crisp, expensive, and cold enough to frost glass. It sounded like it wore a suit even over the phone. This is Sarah. Who's calling? My name is Maria. I have a business proposition for you. I'd like to meet tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'll text you the address. Sorry, what? I don't. $23,000, she said. For a few weeks of your time? I forgot how to breathe. I'll see you tomorrow, Sarah. She hung up before I could say yes, but she didn't need my answer. $23,000 could erase the orange paper from my door. It could buy my mom's medications. It could give me something I hadn't felt in months. Options. Every instinct screamed, this is a scam. This is dangerous. This is how you end up on the news. I knew I was going anyway. The address she sent wasn't a coffee shop. It was a glass tower downtown, the kind of place where the lobby smells like money and quiet and polished stone. The security guard at the front desk knew my name before I said it. Ms. Sarah? Maria is expecting you. 42nd floor? He handed me a key card. The elevator shot upward so fast my ears popped. When the doors opened, I stepped into a different universe. Floor-to-ceiling windows, white marble, minimalist furniture that looked like you'd get charged for breathing near it. The city glittered beneath us like something you could own if you had the right last name. Maria sat behind a sleek black desk, perfectly centered in front of the windows, like she'd designed the skyline herself. She was maybe 50, with silver-streaked hair pulled into a chignon sharp enough to cut. Not a single strand out of place. Her eyes were ice blue and assessing. She didn't stand. She didn't smile. Sit. I sat. She looked me over like she was appraising a piece of art or a weapon. You're exactly what I expected, she said. Is that good? It's useful. She folded her hands. You're hungry. Desperate, intelligent enough to be interesting, and you look like you've never had anything handed to you in your life. The words stung because they were true. What is this about? I asked. My son. She slid a photograph across the table. I didn't need to look to know who it was. James. Everyone at Westfield knew James. He was the poster boy for the university website. Tall, golden-haired, with that effortless smile you only get if no one has ever told you no in public. Student body president, 4.0 GPA, campus darling. I'd seen him in person maybe half a dozen times, always surrounded by people, always talking, always somehow the center of gravity. We existed in different solar systems. What about him? I asked carefully. James is intelligent, Maria said. Ambitious, charismatic, positioned for a future that requires discipline. Her voice cooled even more. He is also a romantic. She said the word like a diagnosis. He believes in love, in emotional connection, in the idea that someone will see him, understand him, and choose him apart from what he can provide. Her lip curled. It is a weakness I have failed to eradicate. The back of my neck prickled. What does this have to do with me? I want you to date my son, Maria said smoothly. Make him fall for you. And then, before his final exams, before he begins the next phase of his career, I want you to break his heart. There it was. You want me to hurt him on purpose. I want you to teach him a lesson. She corrected. Love is a distraction. It clouds judgment. It derails ambition. It turns intelligent men into fools. She tilted her head. He needs to learn that early, before it costs him anything that matters. Why me? Because you're exactly his type. Her smile was thin and sharp. Smart, but not from his world. Pretty, but not threatening. You have enough hardship to seem real and enough potential to seem worth investing in. She let that sink in. And you, she added, need the money. My stomach dropped. She knew about the eviction notice, about my scholarship, about my mom. $23,000, she said. Half now, half when it's done. You date him for 6 weeks. You make him believe you're the one person who sees him. And then you end it in a way he will not forget. You're talking about your own son. I'm talking about a man who is going to be important. she snapped. Important men cannot afford the luxury of being ruled by their hearts. I should have walked out. I should have told her she was a monster and that her son was not a project management problem. Instead, I thought about my mom in a too small apartment 3 hours away, trying to stretch her disability check over pills and rent and food. I thought about the orange paper on my door. I want to see the contract, I said. Maria smiled for the first time. It wasn't comforting. The contract was 4 pages of dense legal language that made my eyes cross. Non-disclosure clauses, payment schedules, a timeline for emotional engagement, a description of my role that made me sound less like a person and more like a weaponized experience. Buried in the jargon were the only 2 numbers that mattered. $11,500 upon signing, $11,500 upon successful completion. I took it home, spread it out on my bed next to my laptop and the stack of bills I pretended not to see. I did the math twice. It covered the back rent, the next semester's books, and 3 months of my mom's medications if I stretched it. I stared at my own name on the signature, lined until the letter stopped, looking like mine. He'll be fine, I told myself. Guys like him have girls lining up. One breakup won't ruin his life. He'll probably forget me in a month. But even thinking it felt like a lie. Nobody drops 23 grand on a lesson that doesn't matter. Maria wasn't trying to protect James from heartbreak. She was trying to break his ability to believe in love at all. At 2 in the morning, with my eyes burning and my chest tight, I signed. Then I turned off the light, lay in the dark, and tried not to think about the fact that I had just agreed to break someone on purpose. If you think that was the worst choice I made, just wait. If I was going to do something awful, I was at least going to do it efficiently. I opened a new Google Doc and titled it Project Notes, Delete Later. Then I built the ugliest thing I've ever made, the Heartbreak Blueprint. Phase 1. Proximity. Accidental study sessions. Shared coffee runs. Position myself where he already spends time until I feel familiar. Phase 2. Connection. Find the things that make his eyes light up. Mirrors. Vulnerability. The kind of late-night conversations that make people say you're the only one who gets me. Phase 3. Attachment. Text first. Show up when he needs help. Become the person he reaches for on good days and bad. Phase 4. Withdrawal. Once he's in, pull back. Answer slower. Cancel plans. Introduce doubt. Phase 5. Destruction. End it before finals. Clean but deep. Enough to hurt. Enough to stick. I stared at the bullet points until my stomach twisted. Then I closed the laptop. I was about to meet the boy I'd been paid to destroy. I still thought I could do it without destroying myself. According to the internet and 3 different campus gossip threads, James spent Tuesday evenings on the 4th floor of the library. Same table. Same window. Same spot like it was reserved for him by the universe. I got there early, spread my calculus textbook across a table 2 spots away, and tried to look like someone who didn't carefully stalk her targets. There he was. He arrived. Up close, he looked exactly like his photos and nothing like them. The jawline was real. The hair was annoyingly perfect. The smile, when it flickered across his face as he nodded at someone, could probably power a small city. But the thing that got me was the exhaustion. He moved like someone carrying something heavy nobody else could see. He sat, opened his laptop, and stared at the screen without typing for a full minute. His phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at the caller ID, jaw tightening, then flipped it face down. Remember why you're here, I told myself. I picked up my textbook, walked over to his table, and forced my voice into confused but not helpless. Hey, sorry, are you James? The student body president? He looked up. And for a second I saw it, the flicker of wary surprise before the smile slid back into place. That's me, he said. Can I help you with something? I'm Sarah, I said. I'm in calc and I heard you're, good at this? Smooth. I'm stuck on optimization problems, I rushed on. And the tutoring schedule is insane. And someone said you used to tutor before you got busy, so I was hoping maybe I don't really have time to tutor anymore, he said, glancing reflexively at his laptop. Between everything else, I barely sleep. Oh, I let my shoulders sag. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sorry to bother you. I started to turn away. His phone buzzed again. He flinched. Then, wait, I turned back. Which problems? He asked. The volume maximization ones. He looked at his laptop, then at me. I've got 30 minutes before a meeting, he said. If you don't mind my half attention, I can try. I don't mind at all. I sat across from him. For the next half hour, he walked me through derivatives and critical points. With a patience none of my paid tutors had ever shown. He explained things 3 different ways until something finally clicked. And when it did, he actually lit up. There it is, he said, grinning. That's the face people make right before they pretend they got it the whole time. I laughed too loud. What? He asked. Nothing. I gestured to his notes. You're really good at this. Calc? He shrugged. It's just patterns. No, teaching. He blinked like no one had said that to him before. By the time our 30 minutes were up, I had a page of notes and his number in my phone. In case you get stuck again, he said, handing me the scrap of paper. Or if you just need someone to rant to about partial credit. I walked out of the library with a win. I wasn't expecting and a problem I hadn't planned for. James wasn't going to be hard to break because he was strong. He was going to be hard to break because he was already cracked. The next 2 weeks were an exercise in pretending I wasn't calculating everything. I texted him about calc questions I didn't strictly need help with. I ran into him at the campus coffee shop he liked. I asked a quick question about student government for a fake class project. Every time I gave him an off-ramp. You're probably busy. It's okay if not. Ignore this if you're swamped. Sorry for the random text. Every time he answered anyway. We started studying together regularly. At first it was calc and policy and logistics. Then it wasn't. One rainy day, I found him sitting on a bench outside the library, phone in his hand, staring at nothing. No smile, no performance. Just raw, quiet exhaustion. You okay? I asked, sitting down next to him. He jumped a little. Then he seemed to recognize me and forced a half smile. Yeah, just family stuff. Want to talk about it? Not really. He paused. Actually, yeah, but I'm not supposed to. Not supposed to? My mother has very clear opinions on what I should share and with whom, he said dryly. Apparently, vulnerability is bad optics. I'd never wanted to punch a stranger more. She sounds fun, I said. That's one word for it. He studied me for a second. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever feel like you're performing your whole life? Like the version of you everyone sees is a script. And if you forget your lines, everything falls apart. Yes. The answer was yes. I was literally performing for him right now. All the time, I said. He exhaled like that was the answer he'd been hoping for. You're the first person in months who's asked if I'm okay without wanting something, he said quietly. Guilt hit me so hard I almost choked. I do want something, I thought. I want your mother's money. People should ask you more, I said. He gave me a real smile this time, the kind that started in his eyes, not his teeth. Are you okay, Sarah? He asked. I laughed, startled. No one had asked me that and I didn't even know how long. I don't know, I admitted. Some days I feel like I'm hanging on. Other days I'm pretty sure one more bill or one more phone call is going to break me in half. Same, he said. We sat there in the light rain, two people faking it for everyone else, and something shifted. Phase 2 was working. Unfortunately, so was whatever was happening to my heart. If I'd been the person Maria thought I was, this is where I would have started phase 4. Pull back, answer slower, introduce doubt. Instead, I tried for exactly 12 hours. One Saturday, after we'd stayed up on the phone until 2 a.m. talking about everything and nothing, I told myself I needed to start creating distance. I didn't text him the next morning. At noon, my phone buzzed. James, did I scare you off with my TED talk about student org budgets? I stared at the message and didn't reply. 5 minutes later, James, for real though, you okay? My chest hurt. I put my phone in a drawer. An hour later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find James on my doorstep, hair damp from the drizzle, worry etched into his face. Hey, he said. Are you mad at me? What? No, why would you think that? You didn't answer, he said simply. You always answer. I swallowed. I just slept in. I lied. Then I got caught up with stuff. His shoulders relaxed a little. Okay, sorry, that was probably a lot. He rubbed the back of his neck. I kind of panic when people disappear on me. I thought about his mother, about how she weaponized attention. I thought about the blueprint waiting in my Google Drive. I thought about this boy showing up at my apartment in the rain because I didn't answer a text for a few hours. The blueprint suddenly made me nauseous. I'm not mad, I said, and I'm not going to disappear. His eyes met mine, searching for something. Promise? He asked softly. I'd already lied to him so much. This time I told the truth. Promise. And just like that, phase 4 shattered. It happened 3 weeks into the plan, on a night when everything went wrong. James had a brutal student government meeting. A budget scandal blew up on social media, and even though the decisions weren't his, everyone wanted his apology, his explanation, his face to attach their anger to. By the time he made it back to his apartment, he looked like someone had wrung him out. I hate this, he said, dropping onto the couch. All of it. The meetings, the speeches, the performance. I'm so tired of existing for other people's approval. I sat down beside him. You could quit, I said quietly. He gave a humorless laugh. My mother would spontaneously combust. She's been grooming me for this since I was old enough to hold a microphone. That sounds exhausting. It is. He turned his head to look at me. Except when I'm with you. When it's just us, I forget I'm supposed to be performing. My heart tripped. That's kind of the problem, he added. Why is that a problem? I asked. Because I'm starting to need it, he said. I'm starting to need you. And I don't know how to make space for that in a life my mother has already scheduled down to the minute. James, I know it's fast, he said. We haven't known each other that long. But when I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe. Like I'm a person, not a project. Every word was a knife. Because I was a project. The worst kind of project. You barely know me, I whispered. I know enough, he said. I know you're real. I know you look at me like I'm not just a resume in a suit. And I know that if you walked away right now, I would feel it everywhere. His hand came up, hesitating for a second like he was giving me time to stop him. I didn't. He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. His thumb lingered against my skin. If this is a mistake, he murmured, it's one I want to make. He leaned in. When his lips touched mine, soft, nervous, like he was half expecting me to pull away, something inside me snapped, but not the way Maria wanted. I kissed him back. And in that moment, I made the only real decision I'd made since I signed the contract. I wasn't going to break him. I didn't know how I was going to get out of Maria's deal. I didn't know how I'd pay rent or my mom's bills. But I knew I couldn't do this. Not to the boy who made me feel like I was more than my bank account and my panic. Not to the boy who looked at me like I was the only real thing in his scripted world. If you think deciding not to break him fixed everything, you haven't been paying attention. It happened. I realized halfway through a shift at the coffee shop that I'd left my laptop at James's apartment the night before. He texted me around noon. James, found your laptop. Bringing it by in a bit. Me, you're a lifesaver. He didn't respond. 40 minutes later, there was a knock. I opened the door to find him standing in the hallway, pale and stiff, my laptop bag hanging at his side. In his other hand was a printed document. Not just any document. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. James, I said, my voice already breaking. I can explain. Can you? He asked. And I had never heard his voice sound like that, flat and sharp at the same time. Because from where I'm standing, this looks pretty clear. He held up the contract. The contract I'd stupidly saved to a cloud account that auto-synced to his printer. My signature stared up at me from the bottom of the page. Did my mother pay you to date me? He asked. There it was. No softening, no outs. Yes, I whispered. He flinched like I'd hit him. How long? From the beginning, I said. At first it was about the money, but it changed and Stop. His jaw tightened. Just answer the questions. How much? 23,000, I said. Half when I signed, half when you broke me, he finished. Voice cracking for the first time. Right before finals. Efficient. Tears burned hot behind my eyes. James, was anything real? He asked. The bench. The rain. The late night calls. The way you held my hand when I told you I couldn't breathe before speeches. Was any of that real, or was it all just bullet points in your little blueprint? It started as the plan, I said, the words tumbling out, but it stopped. I couldn't do it anymore. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how without risking the second half of your payment. He snapped. His anger hurt, but it also mattered, because anger meant he cared. If this was all fake, he said, his voice shaking, you'd be defending yourself right now. You'd be spinning. You'd be blaming my mother and pretending you had no choice. He took a step closer. Instead, you're just standing there crying. I'm so sorry, I choked. I'm so sorry, James. He stared at me for a long, agonizing moment. Then he did something I never could have written into a plan. He sat down at my kitchen table, placed the contract in front of him, and pulled a pen from his pocket. What are you doing? I whispered. Reading, he said. He read every word. The payment structure, the timeline, the milestones for emotional engagement. When he reached the signature line, his eyes lingered on my name. Then slowly, he signed his own right under it. James, wait! He wasn't done. Below our signatures, in careful handwriting, he added one more line. If I still want you after this, we tell my mother the truth together. He slid the contract back across the table. I don't understand, I said. Neither do I, he admitted. I should hate you right now. I should walk out of here and never talk to you again. It would be cleaner, simpler, safer. Why don't you? I asked, voice barely a whisper. Because for the first first time in my entire life, I feel like someone sees me, he said. And if I'm wrong about that, if this was all performance, then I'd rather know exactly how wrong I was and go back to wondering if anything in my life is real. He reached for my hand. Can you be honest with me? He asked. No more scripts, no more plans, just the truth, even when it's ugly. Yes, I said, because it was the only thing left to say. I can try. Then here's what I want, he said. We have 3 weeks until this contract ends. 3 weeks until my mother expects you to shatter me. So for the next 3 weeks, we do something she can't control. What? I asked. We see what happens if we choose each other for real, he said simply. If at the end of these 3 weeks I still want you, we show her exactly what she tried to buy and destroy. You're willing to risk that? I asked. After everything I've done? He squeezed my hand. I've been letting my mother script my life for 22 years, he said. If I'm going to get my heart broken, I'd rather be the one who chose the person holding it. Everything changed once the truth was out. There were no more phases, no more pretending I was running some strategic, emotional engagement process. Instead, we made rules. No lying, no performing, no making choices based on what Maria would or wouldn't approve of. We talked. I told him about the eviction notice, about my mom's medical bills, about the way my stomach twisted every time my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. He told me about the childhood where every choice was pre-approved. Every activity was data. Every relationship was a potential alliance. My last girlfriend was the daughter of one of my mother's donors, he said. We thought we met at a fundraiser. We found out later it was arranged. That's messed up, I said. She was actually nice, he said. We broke up the day we realized our meet cute had a line item in my mother's calendar. He showed me the keyboard he kept shoved in the back of his closet. When I was 12, I wanted to be a composer, he said. I wrote this terrible, chaotic piece and played it for my mother. What did she say? I asked, already dreading the answer. She threw it in the trash, he said. Told me to focus on things that would matter for my future. He didn't write another note for 10 years. That's abuse, I said quietly. That's efficiency, he corrected bitterly. She doesn't waste time on things she can't monetize. The more I learned, the angrier I got. Not just at Maria, at myself. I had let her turn me into another weapon. I'm not letting her do this, James said one night, his fingers drifting across the keys as he played something soft and new. Not to me. Not to you. Not anymore. What are you going to do? I asked. He looked up, something fierce burning where the exhaustion used to be. There's a gala at the end of the semester, he said. The big donor event. She's been writing my speech for weeks. And? I asked, even though I already knew. And I'm not giving it, he said. I'm giving mine. If Maria was cold before, she turned Arctic once she sensed she was losing control. First the calls. You're behind schedule, she told me one afternoon as I stood in the back hallway of the coffee shop, apron still on. The withdrawal phase should have begun by now. Things are more complicated than expected, I said. Uncomplicate them, she said. He has finals and a major speech coming. I will not have him distracted. Her voice sharpened. Remember your position, Sarah, she added. Your scholarship. Your situation. It would be very unfortunate if things you rely on suddenly became unstable. It was a threat, wrapped in politeness, but a threat. That night, I put my phone on the table in front of James and hit speaker when she called. He listened to every word. My mother will ruin you if she can, he said afterward. She'll try to go through the school, through your employers, through anyone she can reach. I know, I said softly. She said she could make my scholarship encounter difficulties. He swore under his breath. I'm sorry, he said. I brought this into your life. No, I said. I brought it into yours. He shook his head. We're here now, he said. Together. That has to count for something. Then she turned her attention back to him. Texts about focus and priorities. Emails listing the exact ways he was slipping. A not-so-veiled threat that if he embarrassed her at the gala, he'd be cut off. Funding? Connections, everything, he said, staring at his phone. She'll make sure I start from zero. And you're still gonna do it? I asked. He looked at me like I'd just asked if he was still going to breathe. Yes, he said. I'd rather be broken free than rich and owned. He took my hands. I need you to know something, he said. If you walk away right now, I won't blame you. You didn't sign up for a war. I thought about it, about the money I wasn't gonna get, about the way my bank account was already gasping, about my mom's next appointment circled in red on the calendar. Then I thought about James standing on a stage, reading from a script his mother wrote about a life she designed. I'm not walking away, I said. Promise? He asked. Promise. Westfield's end of semester gala was the kind of event people posted about for weeks. Alumni, donors, politicians, cameras, exactly the stage Maria wanted, exactly the stage James chose to burn. I stood in front of the mirror in a dress I absolutely couldn't afford, bought with the deposit for Maria and a mountain of guilt, and told myself this would be the last thing her money ever paid for. James met me outside the ballroom. He looked like he'd just stepped out of a magazine. Crisp tux, perfect tie, eyes haunted. You look, he exhaled. Incredible. So do you, I said. Ready, he asked. No, I said honestly. But I'm here. That's enough. We walked in together, heads turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Maria stood at the center of it all in a silver gown that probably cost more than my yearly rent, smile perfectly in place. It vanished when she saw our joined hands. James, she said, gliding toward us. A word. He didn't let go of me. Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Sarah, he said. Her gaze slid to me, sharp and assessing. This is not the time for stubbornness, she said. You will give the speech I wrote. You will announce your internship with the congressman. And you will end this distraction before you humiliate yourself? No, James said. Silence rang louder than the string quartet. You don't know what you're doing, she hissed. For the first time, I do, he said. I'm choosing. You're throwing away everything I've built for you. I didn't ask you to build it, he said. You did that for yourself. Her eyes flashed. If you walk onto that stage and deviate from the plan, I will cut you off, she said. No funding, no support, no safety net. You will have nothing. He squeezed my hand. Then I'll finally know what belongs to me, he said. For a second, I thought she might slap him. Instead, she straightened her shoulders. Fine, she said. If you want to ruin yourself, I'll let you. But don't expect me to pull you out when you drown. She turned and walked away. Is it weird that I feel lighter? He asked. Terrified, I said. But not weird. The speeches started. Donors, administrators, a video montage. Then the MC tapped the mic. And now, please welcome our student body president, James, to say a few words. He let go of my hand and walked onto the stage. It felt like watching someone step out onto a ledge. He stood at the podium. Every light in the room pointed at him. I could see his hands from where I stood, steady, no tremor. Good evening, he said. His voice carried, clear and strong. I had a speech prepared for tonight, he continued. It was beautiful, polished. It talked about achievement, legacy, and the importance of staying focused on your goals. He paused. It was also written by my mother. A ripple moved through the room. Most of my life, he said, has been written by my mother. The schools I attended, the activities I joined, even the people I dated. My chest tightened. 600 eyes were fixed on him. A few weeks ago, he said, my mother hired someone to date me. You could feel the air being sucked out of the room. She offered her $23,000 to make me fall in love, he said, and then break my heart right before finals, so I would learn that love is a weakness I can't afford. Maria's face had gone from white to a dangerous shade of red. She's in this room, he said. So is the girl she hired. Every muscle in my body locked. I'm not saying this to humiliate anyone, he continued. I'm saying it because for 22 years, I've been told that my heart is a liability, that feelings make me weak, that the only things that matter are power, image, and control. He looked straight at his mother. And yet, he said softly, the only time I've ever felt strong is when I stopped performing and told the truth. He looked back out at the crowd. The truth is I did fall in love, he said, not because someone taught me love was real, but because someone showed me I was. Underneath the resume and the expectations and the panic attacks, there was still a person worth knowing. My throat burned. I'm not giving the speech my mother wrote, he said. I'm not announcing an internship I didn't choose. I am for the first time choosing my own life, my own future, my own relationships, and I am accepting whatever consequences come with that. He swallowed once. To the person who was paid to break me, he said, voice steady. Thank you. He smiled, small and real. You saved me instead. He stepped back from the podium. For a heartbeat, there was no sound. Then the room exploded. Some people clapped. Some whispered. Some looked at Maria like they were waiting to see if she'd actually combust. I didn't see any of it clearly. All I saw was James walking back toward me, eyes bright, jaw set. His mother turned and left halfway across the ballroom. She didn't look back. She cut him off that night. No money, no trust fund, no carefully arranged internships. Just a cold email the next morning making it official. I thought it would hurt more, he said, staring at the screen. It's weird. It feels like taking off a suit that never fit. What are you going to do? I asked. Work, he said. My calc professor offered me a TA position. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. And us? I asked, because underneath all the chaos, one question kept clawing at me. He turned to me like that was the only part he wasn't scared of. That depends on you, he said. You don't owe me anything. You've already lost money, stability, probably your scholarship. I haven't lost it yet, I said. Just had it threatened. He nodded. Either way, you stayed, he said. You walked into that ballroom knowing she might make your life hell for it. He took a breath. I can't promise an easy life, Sarah, he said. I can't promise things will go back to normal because I don't want that normal back. I can only promise that if you stay, I'll choose you every day. Not because my mother wants it. Not because a contract requires it. Because I do. I'm still broke, I said, my laugh coming out wet. I still have a mom who needs more than I can give. I'm still the girl who took money to break you. You're also the girl who gave it up, he said. The girl who couldn't go through with it. The girl who told me the truth even when it ruined everything we thought we had. He squeezed my hand. I'm choosing you anyway, he said. If you'll have me. Fear curled around my ribs. So did something else. Hope. I'm not walking away, I said. Not now. Promise? He asked, almost smiling. Promise. He pulled me in and kissed me, soft and certain. For once, there was no script. A few months pass and Maria hasn't called. According to campus gossip, she's traveling and focusing on herself, which is rich coming from a woman who tried to outsource her son's trauma. James shares a small off-campus apartment with 2 other TAs. He grades quizzes in the evenings and writes music at night. He thinks his compositions are terrible. I think they sound like someone learning to breathe. I kept my scholarship. The financial aid office called me in after the gala. Apparently donors talk. Enough of them liked James's speech that someone flagged my file. An emergency grant appeared for part of my back rent. I picked up extra hours at the library. Aubrey found a second job too. We're not comfortable, but we're okay. Last week, while helping James unpack some boxes from his old place, I found the contract. 4 pages, 2 signatures, 1 extra line. If I still want you after this, we tell my mother the truth together. Want me to burn it? I asked. He shook his head. No, he said. I want to keep it. Why? I asked. It's literally a receipt for the worst decision of my life. It's proof, he said, that something real can grow out of something awful, that you can be wrong about people and still choose them after, the worst parts. That control isn't the same thing as love. He took the contract from my hand and slid it back into the box. It's proof I chose you, he added. Not because my mother wanted it. Not because money was involved. Because I did. Even when it cost me everything else. I was paid $23,000 to break him. I gave back every cent, but I kept him. And that's the only thing that ever really mattered.